How's it going, everyone? We've got a ton of rumors going over in this video, including a major remake potentially being in development, Square Enix teasing a big announcement in 2023 that isn't related to Final Fantasy VII, and it looks like an update on Ubisoft's big Star Wars title may be coming in the near future. We'll talk that at the end of this video. But first of all, it looks like a Persona 3 remake may be in development. On Reset Era, there has been some speculation on what Atlus is working on and if a Persona 3 remake would be happening, and it has been teased. And this is coming from a notable leaker that Persona 3 would be getting a remake. Now, what's interesting about this, and I found it interesting from the get-go, when they announced Persona 3 getting a port on PlayStation 4, Xbox, and PC, and I believe on Nintendo Switch as well. The interesting thing, obviously, is that it's Persona 3 portable, and that immediately was a red flag to a lot of people being like, why isn't it Persona 3 FES? There's things about Persona 3 portable that a lot of people like, but for a console gamer, you would think Persona 3 FES would be the route to go, especially because the game is called Persona 3 Portable. Like, everybody wants to play Persona 3 FES, at least I would think. P3P obviously was designed with the PlayStation Portable in mind, and it was a good streamlined version of Persona 3, and it had some added improvements over the original, but FES was the version of the game I see most people want, and immediately when I saw that they were going to do Persona 3 Portable instead of Persona 3 FES, I immediately thought, hey, does that lead any credence to that rumor and speculation that a Persona 3 remake would be in development? To a lot of people, Persona 3 is their favorite Persona game. Really, people go back and forth. You can't go wrong with any of the Persona titles. P3 is awesome, P4 is great, and P5 obviously is excellent as well, and P5 really kind of blew up the franchise over here in the States. Like, that game took Persona to another level. Like, Persona 3 and 4 were notable, and they were big at their time, but they were PlayStation 2 releases that, you know, people checked out, but not to the level of Persona 5. They got great reception from a critical standpoint, but, you know, it didn't have the rhetoric and the appeal I feel that Persona 5 had, at least to a wider audience. But, you know, doing a full-on remake to Persona 3 I think would be pretty cool, and I think it's something a lot of people would be excited about. I do also hope that, you know, Atlus does move on and do Persona 6 as well, and hopefully a Persona 3 remake doesn't hamper the development of Persona 6, because, you know, I like what Square Enix is doing. They got Final Fantasy VII Remake, they're doing that, but they also got Final Fantasy 16 coming out. They're concurrently developing both. You know, Atlus isn't the juggernaut that Square Enix is, but hopefully they can divide up their, you know, developers and work on a P3 remake and a Persona 6. Still take this as a rumor for now, but a Persona 3 remake makes all the sense in the world to me, especially because, you know, Persona 3 is a game that came out initially all the way back in 2006 or 2005, and, you know, it's due a remake. Like, you can go back and remake these games that were PS2 era titles, and I'm not talking about just an HD remaster. I'm talking a full-on ground-up remake, and people will absolutely check that out, and it'll do very, very well commercially. And, you know, you already have the story in place. I don't know if they want to go the FF7 remake route, where they would alter the story and whatnot. I'd be down for either route, to be honest, and I kind of like what FF7 Remake did. I know some people just wanted a true one-to-one remake, but I like the idea of, you know, changing some stuff up and giving people that played the original version something new to dive into as well. Either way, I think P3 getting a remake makes a lot of sense, but I just hope they are continually developing Persona 6, and hopefully we do get a full-on reveal of Persona 6 this year, because it's been a long time since P5 initially came out. P5 originally came out, I want to say, late 2016 in Japan and early 2017 here stateside, so yeah, it's been quite a while. Alright, moving on from that, Square Enix CEO is teasing a big announcement as well, and this is going to be unrelated to FF7 and supposedly coming in 2023 according to Square's New Year messages. It was noted there's also another big announcement unrelated to FF7 that I can't say anything about just yet. Rest assured, we're working hard to make sure 2023 is the most exciting year yet. Now, obviously, this can't be Final Fantasy 17. Final Fantasy 16 ain't out yet, and after FF16 comes out, it's gonna be a while before you hear something about Final Fantasy 17. What I could see is it being something like another Final Fantasy remake. That is the rhetoric going on online, and if you want to do a full-on remake of a game like Final Fantasy IX, a game that's almost as beloved as Final Fantasy VII, and to a lot of people, FF9 is their favorite Final Fantasy game ever. There was always talk way back in the day of doing like a Final Fantasy X-3, and, you know, if you want to bring back Final Fantasy X, I think that game is due a remake as well. Look, I played the HD remaster of Final Fantasy X, and Final Fantasy X is always going to be a classic and always going to be a game that I love, but that game shows its age. Like, 2001, you know, FF10 is gonna be a game that if they want to do a full-on remake of that, I would be down for as well. And FF10 had one of the goated battle themes in Final Fantasy history, and that says a lot given all the battle themes in Final Fantasy history. FF10 would be a cool remake, or FF9 would be a cool remake, and I propose to you FF4. FF4 is a game that I think everybody loves, and to see a full-on remake of that, that would be really cool as well. I think remaking these classic Final Fantasy titles makes a ton of sense. Why not do it concurrently with developing new Final Fantasy games? Square Enix is a gigantic publisher, and they can work on stuff like creating the 7 remakes. They could do a 4 remake, Final Fantasy 5, 6, whatever. Whatever they want to do, if you want to go back and remake those games, because a lot of people with FF4 especially, like, what are they going to do? They're going to dig up their DS and play it on the DS. They're going to get the iPhone port. They're going to get the Steam version that is a port of the iPhone version. Like, yeah, that version's fine, and you can play it, and you can have a good time with it, but a full-on remake of something like FF4, I think that would be incredibly compelling. I know maybe a lot of people want Square Enix to do something outside of Final Fantasy, and sure, they have a lot of other IP under their umbrella. I would love to see another World Ends With You, but seeing how that game did commercially, you know, are they going to put resources towards a 3rd World Ends With You game, or are they going to put resources to Final Fantasy, a proven juggernaut and a proven moneymaker? I would probably lean towards Final Fantasy, but hey, I'd kill for a new World Ends With You. I'd kill for more content from Nier. There's a lot of IPs Square Enix can invest into. It's just Final Fantasy is just a proven juggernaut of a moneymaker, so I expect them to lean onto that IP as much as they can. And when they have such a rich history of classic Final Fantasy titles to work on, there's really unlimited resources and potential of what they could do with Final Fantasy as a whole. And then when you look at the FF7, like, this announcement is going to be outside of the FF7 spectrum, but if they want to continue investing into FF7, you could do that entire remake trilogy, which they're going to do. You got Dirge of Cerberus you can remake. You're doing expansions. You're doing DLC. There's so much Final Fantasy content they're gonna put out, and I really don't expect people getting tired of it because it's Final Fantasy and people love Final Fantasy. And, you know, Final Fantasy, yes, it's all Final Fantasy, but Final Fantasy 4 is totally different than Final Fantasy 7. Final Fantasy 7 is going to be totally different than Final Fantasy 16, so yes, it's all called Final Fantasy, but they may as well be new IPs as well. It's just that Final Fantasy name is going to draw quite a bit, and I don't blame them for maximizing Final Fantasy for what it's worth. I think at some point, maybe FF7 is going to grow a little bit tiresome, and I saw some people in the comment section when I told them, when I said that I think they're going to milk FF7 for all it's worth, and somebody actually put a really good comment. It's better to leaving the consumer wanting more than overstay your welcome, and I do agree with that, but I think Square Enix is going to push that as much as they can, especially when it comes to FF7, and I really don't think people are going to get that tired of it unless it just completely falls off a cliff and it's a complete train wreck. Lastly, I do want to know, Julian Gretty noted on Twitter, the creative director at Ubisoft, Happy New Year to you all. 2023 is going to be huge for us. Join the adventure with an image of Star Wars, Ubisoft, and Massive. So this is the open world Star Wars title that's being worked over at Massive Entertainment. We'll see what this turns out to be. Like, Ubisoft is a publisher that sometimes they put out a lot of good stuff, and they put out interesting stuff, like Immortals Phoenix Rising. It seems like a lot of people really enjoyed that. And then you got stuff like the Assassin's Creed and where they're going with that. Really hoping that gets back on track. But Ubisoft is a gigantic publisher with so many different development studios under their helm, and you know, they got a lot of cool titles in the works. A Star Wars game by Ubisoft could be something cool, something to keep an eye on. I know there's a lot of Ubisoft projects that are in development, like the Avatar game. I feel like that's not being talked about much at this point either, but hopefully that does see smooth development. But hopefully we'll hear about this sooner rather than later. But that is going to do it for me. Again, rumors have it that a Persona 3 remake is potentially in development. Square Enix CEO is teasing a big announcement. Could it be another remake of a Final Fantasy title? I could see something like that happening, but we'll see. I would love for more Nier content, would love for more World Ends With You. It's just, you know, Nier is going to do really well. World Ends With You is just a pipe dream that I really want just because I love that game. And I love Neo as well, but nonetheless. And it looks like Star Wars from Ubisoft will be getting an update hopefully in 2023. That'll do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.